This story shows us that the flames of a great war completely destroyed Earth some years ago, and now only the lost lands remain, which are inhabited by creatures that dwell in the shadows, but also what was left of humanity takes refuge in a single city that is ruled by the church and the overlord. And so, in this city we meet a woman named Gray Alys, who apparently is a witch whom many turn to for help with their wishes. And of course, the church, which managed to capture her, intends to eliminate her for her acts of witchcraft. I sentence you, Gray Alys, to die at the gallows. And so the enforcers fulfill their mission and leave a soldier to watch until Gray Alys loses her life. But Gray Alys, who apparently can create illusions by staring intently, manages to make the guard release her and also kill another of his companions. And of course, the guards return to capture her. But Gray Alys manages to eliminate the last soldiers and leaves the enforcer hanging at the gallows. And so the people of the city, who apparently are subjugated by the church, and upon seeing Alys free, begin to shout that the witch will not be hanged. You are in my mind. No, do not go. Meanwhile, on the outskirts of the city, we meet a hunter named Boyce, who apparently is ambushed by several men. But Boyce, who also seems to be very skilled with weapons, manages to eliminate all the men in that place. Later, in a place where Gray Alys is hiding, she is visited by Gray, captain of the guard, and by Queen Malang, wife of the overlord, and where the queen apparently wants power to become a half-wolf creature for some reason, and of course, Gray Alys, who apparently is obliged to help everyone as long as they pay the price, also warns about some wishes. Even so, the queen wants that deal, and Gray Alys mentions that she will hire a hunter to find the creature in the lost lands and obtain its power. Give me until the full moon and I will bring you what you desire. But then Gray, who apparently wants to protect his queen, also makes a deal so that Gray Alys fails in that mission. And of course, she, who cannot reject anyone, accepts the payment to fulfill that wish. You will have what you ask me. Later, Gray Alys, using some of her magic, has a vision where in the Lost Lands the beast tries to be hunted by some men, but the creature is apparently very powerful and violently kills everyone in that place. Meanwhile, we see that the overlord is already a dying old man, and Queen Malang only waits for his death. But we also see that the queen knows and was in love with Boyce, who of course had to leave and they could not be together. Later, Gray Alys, who was looking for a hunter, finds Boyce, who apparently had already been in the Lost Lands, and of course, by offering good payment, Gray Alys convinces Boyce to guide her to a place called Skull River, where the creature lives. But while they talk, the soldiers along with the enforcers also arrive at that place and begin to attack everyone looking for Gray Alys. And of course, after some shots, Gray Alys and Boyce manage to escape from that place. Later, the enforcers who served the patriarch apparently captured an old woman who heard how the queen consulted the witch. And of course, the patriarch tells them that when they capture the witch, they must make her confess what the queen asked for. Do not fail. Meanwhile, Gray Alys and Boyce arrive at a train station where they get some supplies with Mara and Ross, friends who live in that place. In addition, continuing the journey, some bones of creatures that apparently inhabit those places can also be seen. Later, the enforcers and the soldiers also arrive at the station and, of course, they torture Boyce's friends to find out where they are going. And thus, upon reaching a place with a geological fault, Boyce and Gray Alys are intercepted by the soldiers who of course arrived earlier at that place, and of course, now are covered so as not to be controlled by Gray Alys. In addition, the enforcer tries to convince Boyce to hand over the witch, but when he refuses, she shows that he will end up the same as his friend and that no one threatens the church. They call you servants of God. What kind of God does that? And so, after killing Boyce's friend, a large number of soldiers appeared to try to capture them. But Gray Alys together with Boyce managed to eliminate several of these soldiers who apparently also sacrificed themselves for the enforcers. But even so, as they are outnumbered, they decide to escape and arrive at a kind of cable car that apparently crosses the fault. And of course, some soldiers who also got on with them begin to attack them in that place. But Boyce and Gray Alys manage to defend themselves and quickly eliminate each of these men. Then, seeing that the witch will not be captured, the enforcer quickly orders the cable to be broken. But even so, Boyce and Gray Alys are carried by the momentum and manage to reach the other side where they try to get to safety. And of course, the enforcer also manages to shoot from afar and succeeds in wounding Boyce. But before she can kill him, Gray Alys manages to use her magic and blind the enforcer for a moment so she cannot shoot. And so both manage to escape and gain time not to be reached. Meanwhile, Queen Malang, after finding out that she is pregnant, decides to kill the overlord, because now she will be able to rule knowing that there is a firstborn. Meanwhile, Boyce and Gray Alys, so as not to be reached by the soldiers and with no other option, decide to cross an old nuclear plant, and where Boyce mentions that since night is falling, now they will need much fire to defend themselves from another danger. And so we see that strange creatures begin to come out of the SOWs and quickly approach to attack them. And of course, Boyce and Gray Alys, who manage to create a barrier of fire with some fuel, try to defend themselves from the creatures. and where one of the creatures manages to cross the barrier and begins to attack them. But both manage to eliminate them quickly. But even so, apparently, the leader of those creatures, who watched from afar, arrives quickly to capture them. Then the creature, who apparently knows Gray Alys, before killing her tells her that she should not have returned to that place. But Gray Alys manages to stare into the creature's eyes and succeeds in controlling him so that he orders them to be freed. And so, with the help of Boyce, who holds Gray Alys, she manages to use the fire to destroy all the creatures. Afterwards, Boyce, who could not feel the fire, asks Gray Alys, who mentions that it was an illusion, but for the creatures who fear fire, it did destroy them. She also mentions that that creature was once a man who sought her many years ago to obtain a treasure in that place. And of course, since she cannot refuse anyone, she helped that man. But that place ended up turning him and his men into those creatures. And so Gray Alys, who bears that curse, mentions that no one should ever ask her for help. No one should ask me for help. They should leave me alone. Meanwhile, in the city, the patriarch reports the death of the overlord and that now Queen Malang will be the highest authority. Long live the queen. And of course, the patriarch, who also seeks to be the supreme leader, only waits for the witch to be captured to have her confession and overthrow the queen, who of course together with Gray also sought the power of this child if they want to consolidate it. We also see that Gray is in love with the queen and would do everything for her, but very intimately. Meanwhile, Gray Alys together with Boyce, who are close to reaching Skull River, are intercepted by the enforcers and the soldiers on the train tracks, but both apparently manage to set up a trap in that place and succeed in eliminating the enforcers and the soldiers who pursued them. Meanwhile, in the city, in the fight for power, Gray also kills the patriarch and his guards, corrupt frogs. Later, Boyce and Gray Alys manage to reach Skull River, where it is seen that the creature killed hundreds of men who tried to face it, and where Boyce tells Gray Alys that she should leave and give up hunting the creature so as not to end up like them. But Gray Alys, who is determined and obliged to hunt the beast, prepares some silver weapons to wait for it. And so, while Boyce asked Gray Alys to leave while there was still time, she mentions that there was never another creature and that Boyce tried to deceive her to kill her. Then, as the full moon rises, Boyce, who truly is the creature, and despite now not wanting to harm Gray Alys, begins to transform. And so begins a fight where Gray Alys tries to defend herself using silver weapons. But the beast is very powerful and manages to strike her violently. But Gray Alys, after getting up, manages to look into the creature's eyes and succeeds in creating an illusion, so that she is pursued and the beast attacks directly. And so, using that illusion, Gray Alys manages to get close enough to attack and wound the beast, which ends up being brought down. Afterwards, as the moon hides for a moment, Gray Alys tells Boyce that she knew who he really was, but that she needed to know his weaknesses in order to hunt him, and thus she intends to kill him and obtain the power of the creature. But before that, Boyce asks for his deal and says that he wishes to be with Gray Alys and always fight together. And of course, Gray Alys, who cannot refuse, says that she will fulfill it, but that everything has a price. And so, as the moon returns and while Boyce begins to transform again, Gray Alys apparently decides to kill him and fulfill the deal she made with Queen Malang. Later, upon returning to the city and seeing how Gray Alys survived, but people decide to rise against the rulers and the church. Meanwhile, Gray Alys arrives at the palace and delivers to Gray the skin of the creature, upon which the queen only needs to spill a few drops of blood to obtain that power. And of course Gray asks for his deal, but Gray Alys mentions that what he wanted was to have the queen, and now that Boyce was killed, she fulfilled it. And of course, Queen Malang, who apparently knew about Boyce's condition, and for that reason they could not be together, sought Gray Alys to become another creature like him, and thus she obtained her wish, but ended up losing Boyce. Furthermore, the queen, upon finding out that Jera had something to do with Boyce's death, decides to kill him. And of course, while the queen decides not to become the creature, the people of the city arrive at the palace to kill her. Then, since the ritual was not completed, the skin of the beast apparently returns to the grave where Boyce was buried. And so we see that Boyce managed to return because Gray Alys knew everything that would happen, and thus fulfill all the deals and wishes. I knew you would live. You do not lie. And of course, Boyce, who paid by being killed and tries to attack Gray Alys, but she mentions that in the end everyone obtained their wish. This was not what we wished for, but very intimately, and so this story ends. If you liked the video, do not forget to comment and subscribe.